from Southwest Florida's morning news source. This is Fox 4 News Rising.
Well, I'm here with Patrick Logue from Barkbusters and Jake here. And Jake's actually demonstrating what we are talking about because it's back to school time. And that's about the look all your kids have when you tell them it's time to go back to school. Oh, do I have to?
Right. Right. Well, getting back to school is obviously traumatic for kids. It's a joyous time for parents, but it can be very stressful on a dog. And oftentimes it's the Jakes of the family that can sometimes get neglected and as a result start to develop or really bring to light some behavioral issues.
Because they've had the family around all summer, the kids have been running around, they've been playing,
right.
And now they got nothing. They're home alone.
They got nothing, absolutely. So, you know, just out of the scene, they tend to freak out sometimes. And the biggest thing that can happen is when they are the center of attention, they're used to so much attention and people fawning over them,
right,
that they might start to develop some separation anxiety,
okay,
which can really develop into some pretty severe behavioral issues.
Like
so.
What?
Well, geez, I've had some clients of mine that their dogs, when they're separated, literally eat the drywall and try to get their way out of it. So taking some precautions to make sure that you start the separation now, before it's really game time, when the kids are really back at school. So just a real simple way to practice that is for the family to go out a little more frequently during the day and not to necessarily incorporate the dog into every family event up and through the weeks leading up to school. Obviously, you have a dog and you want to love it and play with it.
Right.
But we want to make sure that we start getting the dog on the school schedule, just as parents might be thinking about getting the kids on a school sleep schedule.
Makes sense, because if they get left alone, some of those irritating behaviors can come back because they're like, hey, if I tear up the couch cushions, maybe they'll pay attention to me. Exactly.
It's not terribly undifferent than a child having a temper tantrum in a toy store. Absolutely.
Any other tips that you can recommend for us, Patrick?
Well, taking those precautions of either making sure that you have a good crate or possibly even a laundry room to have your dog in, making sure that it has a lot of games or toys, Kong products or Buster Cubes, anything that you can generally shove food inside to have the dog work at it. That generally keeps, we call them boredom busters.
It's like their homework assignment.
It's their homework assignment. Hey, you got to get the peanut butter out of the Kong or treat out of the Kong toy or things like that. But also making sure that when the kids do come home, that the children sometimes, to some extent, even ignore the dog, maybe for 5 or 10 minutes, just to make sure that any pent-up energy the dog may have gets diffused, and then everyone can start playing again.
So they don't open the door and get knocked
They
down.
they don't have, it's not the scene in the Flintstones where Dino just jumps all over Fred. Absolutely.
That excitement. Well, Patrick is with Barkbusters. They do in-home dog training. They'll come to your own place. It's 877-500-2275, barkbusters.com, and we're going to be showing off some dog training tips coming up in our 8 o'clock hour, so stay tuned for that. Patrick, thanks so much.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sabrina. Well, I'm here with Jake the dog and Patrick Logue from Barkbusters. And Barkbuster really is that troubleshooter. We tease you as the Ghostbusters, but you really kind of can come in and solve any sort of doggy situation.
Right. Oddly enough, it takes about 2 hours for our average lesson. And anything that we don't get to within that 2 hours, we cover with our lifetime guarantee. Because it's silly for me to say, or for any trainer to say, we could train your dog in 2 hours, or even 6 to 8 lessons. Training is an event, and by offering the lifetime guarantee, we can ensure that, well, the learning that goes on is more of a process, not just the event.
That's like training your toddler or training your kid. It takes a while for it to stick.
It's a lifetime commitment, absolutely.
And you've got some tips for us. I know earlier we were talking about going back to school, you know, our dog friends, they get a little anxious. They have the family around all year, and then you have that separation, so we need to have them stay. Like when we all get in the car to go to school, they have to stay behind, and you've got some good tips to teach your dog to stay put.
Teaching a dog to stay can be very difficult. The way to make it easier is to start off having your dog on leash first. So Jake is not the best demonstration dog because, well, he is fairly well behaved. But we'll give it a go here. So we'll just get Jake up. Hey, buddy. All right, now if
He's like, what, I got to do work?
If we want to work on stay, we simply want to try to keep things nice and simple.
Okay.
Simple words, simple hand commands. So we just might even show Jake our hand.
Like a stop sign.
Just a stop sign. You know, hey, this might mean stay.
Okay.
And now what we want to try to incorporate is some distractions for Jake. So maybe having another family member roll a ball in front.
Jake!
Or things like that. And
he is not amused.
Right, and we're doing some nice distractions there. And if Jake were to move, the word that we use as barkbusters to get a dog's attention is the word ba. But
Why ba?
Well, we like growling it out, though, because dogs growl and bark. Dogs don't say, watch me, to other dogs. They don't say, I have a treat, or they don't give a click, things like that. So if Jake were to start moving towards the distraction, in this case you, what we would simply do is we would go, ah,
and it did
to try to get his attention off of the distraction and put it back on you, the owner. Okay? The reason why we start off on leash is, well, that way we can assure ourselves that we'll always get the win.
And they don't get away from you. And unfortunately, we're out of time, but Patrick has all sorts of tips if you're interested in Barkbusters. They have a great website. It's barkbusters.com or 877-500-2275. And thanks again for Patrick for stopping by. And Jake, you just continue to chill right there.
Right.
I think he's got that command down.
Yeah, I'll pick him up next week.
Sounds good.